Hello Cancer friends, I'm Annie Botticelli and welcome to my video, Cancer October 2020 Astrology Must Knows. This month of October might be one of the most intense months of the whole year. It's very much like what we had going on in June and July, and I will show you layer by layer all of the main pieces that I think will affect your month, along with ideas of how you can best use it, and placing October as how important it is in the whole scheme of the major transition that we've been going through in 2020. So the first thing that I want to talk about is one of the reasons why it's very similar to the energies of June and July. If you remember back to that time, we had a massive amount of intensity, a massive amount of life-changing news. We had a lot of uncertainty and a lot of confusion, and that partly was due to the eclipses, which we are stepping into eclipse season again. And that was partly due to the retrograde of Mercury in Cancer. Now, for you all, that was extra intense, obviously, because Mercury was going retrograde in your sign. But at least it was in a sign that is flowing well with your placement. And the case is the same here. Mercury is now going to be retrograde in Scorpio. And that's another water sign. So all Cancer placements have a chance of having some extra benefits from this Mercury retrograde because of the aspect that Scorpio makes with Cancer. Those of you who are June-born Cancers, you will likely, and right even into the beginning of July, will likely have even more benefit from the potentials of this Mercury retrograde transit because the aspects will be made exact with your placements. But every Cancer has a possible reason to celebrate as the things that come back from the past have a tilt towards some positive things. Now, of course, we do know that with all retrogrades, anything swept under the rug that is unresolved, like unfinished business, does have a chance to come back at this time. And sometimes those are stressful things and things that have to be dealt with. But I'm at least more relieved for you all that this particular aspect is in a nice harmony for you. Some of the other things that might come up from the past with this transit have to do with deep relationships, intimacy, things having to do with romantic relationships, children, creative projects, anything that places you out in front of people. So like acting, artistic endeavors, fashion, modeling, music, anything where your creative efforts kind of give you an audience. Those are some of the things that might come back from the past. And you might be able to bring some things to completion that had been pending or that you had abandoned for one reason or another. So the water energies of the Scorpio sun towards the end of the month and then Mercury throughout the month are one of the pieces of emotion, high emotion and high sort of like tension that's building to something, and we'll start to crack into what the something is more in November and December, and I'll talk much more about that. The second layer of what makes this a month that's similar to what we experienced in June and July is the eclipse season, okay? Eclipses tend to bring dramatic changes, and we did complete a Cancer eclipse cycle so that you all were affected very profoundly between 2018 and 2020, and we did end that this summer. So what is different, and winter for you all down under, but what's different about this next eclipse season is that it's not in your sign or opposing your sign. So hopefully that means it will be lighter for you than the last 2 years have been. And it introduces new ideas about education, expanding your education, things that you might need to study in order to get in deeper with the work that you have or to change careers, things about taking in information and sharing information, and topics of mobility. Of course, mobility was very much put into question for everybody with what's been going on with quarantine. But the topics that are brought up are going to be coming back, and that has to do with mobility. I'm hoping that this means an increase in mobility towards the end of the year. That may or may not start to gel in October, but definitely by November, December, and into January, I believe a new freedom is going to start to open up. Now, we are going to still have things that are the new norm, because we're going to be forever changed by what's gone on this year with the coronavirus and the systems breaking down. But as Jupiter and Saturn move away from Capricorn into Aquarius, it takes this like the systems that have been tested, it moves them on to the new level of innovation and solutions and openness. In general, the Capricorn transits have been also especially tough for Cancer placements because Capricorn placements oppose your placements. And those of you towards the end of the sign, so like our July 11th, or 12th through the rest of the sign, and then, the later you get in the sign, the more intense it has been. You all have been having these oppositions of these 3 outer planets, and that's been intense. So you can be glad that now this month is kind of the end of that. October and November, that's ending as of into like the beginning of December. Those Saturn transits are complete and you're just kind of dealing with Pluto. So 1 planet there is better than 3 planets there opposing your placements. Okay, so let's see. Right, okay, so even though the eclipses don't happen until November and December, if you've watched my work for a while, you know that I always talk about them early because astrologically, eclipses have a way longer time frame of their effects than astronomically. Astronomically, the eclipses happen on a day, boom, they're done. But astrologically, they're a storyline. So there's a storyline that began in the middle of 2020 that's going to go towards the end of 2021. And we're going to come to another chapter in whatever storyline had been brought up by those eclipses, and news and information about how that's going to come into play is going to start to come in October. October is not the best month to try to make plans or to necessarily do something clear with what options might start to be coming in because you don't have all the information yet. But as Mars goes direct in the middle of November, as Mercury retrograde wears off in the middle of November, the energies will start to gain in momentum and clarity. So if you're not feeling clarity in October, don't worry. There is a very increased chance that as you get towards the middle and end of November, that things will start to open up with not only what you need to do, but also the oomph and the support and the drive and the momentum to actually do that. If you have to launch something important, that time frame towards the end of November into December and January is going to hold much greater oomph than October, because October is like this, I'm calling it like a shivering egg about to crack, and it's like kind of tense with emotion, but we don't know what's going to be in the egg yet. Okay, that's the best way to look at it. It's kind of like there's an egg in the nest and you think it might be predictable, right? Because it's your nest. But like in one of my favorite shows, Dinosaur Train, there's a dinosaur that opens up in a nest that is not its family. It becomes its family. But that mom had a surprise. And in any case, we might have some surprises as to what those eggs might open, and they're not really going to crack to reveal what that is in October. They'll just be kind of getting ready to crack. Okay, so that's the second layer of emotion. The eclipses tend to bring that emotion. The third layer of emotion and radical change and big news is that we have 2 full moons this month. Now we know, especially you all Cancer friends, lunar based as you are, sensitive to the moon cycles as most of you probably are, these 2 full moons right at the beginning of the month and right at the end of the month, October 1st and October 31st, you're going to feel that. Okay, so we've got 2 points of this like building and fruition and things coming to light and hidden things being seen and things bursting with completion, for better and worse, are going to flank the month here, right at the beginning and right at the end. The second full moon is very special because it's a blue moon. I'm sure you've heard the saying, once in a blue moon, right? So the types of kind of like things that happen once in a blue moon, you might see that towards the end of the month. A blue moon is a full moon that happens as the second full moon in a sign or a calendar month. It's rare that it happens. It's especially rare that it happens on Halloween or Samhain or Dia de los Muertos or whatever you celebrate, All Hallows Eve. That time frame that's already so mystical and magical and open to the other realms, for better and worse, that is going to be much more intensified by the full moon there and the blue moon there. So spiritual breakthroughs of profound nature, joining worlds, connecting with people who've crossed over, anything having to do with the merging of worlds, the bridges between worlds, spiritual work, psychological work, all can carry extra special, profound weight at the end of the month. Just be extra careful if you're doing something as far as trying to get those spiritual breakthroughs that could be a little questionable, or putting yourself in a questionable situation, because Uranus is conjunct that moon. So what that means is that volatility, surprise, jolts are more likely. And while the jolts could be blissful expansion, it's more likely that the jolts will be something that is shocking, possibly not in the best way. So you want to just protect yourself, protect your whereabouts. Don't let your blissed out state cause you to lead you down an alley that you shouldn't be down. Okay, figuratively and literally. Now, the types of changes that are likely to come and the news that's likely to come with these moons has to do with your work and career, father figures, and anything having to do with your place out in the world. Raises, recognition, something notable with your job, a fight with a boss, something changing with your bosses or other authority figures, a run-in with the law. Any of those types of things are more likely at these moon times because of the way that they're falling in your chart. For you June-born friends, you also may have an additional storyline with that moon at the end of the month that has to do with your friends, your friendships, networking, internet-based projects. And if your work is in community outreach or in internet-based work, then your work can be brought in by that moon as well, just from the perspective of a different placement in the chart. So those things are welling up with possibilities. Okay, so the movements of the planets through Libra and Scorpio are going to bring very strong relationship focus this month. Yourself versus others, keeping balance, codependency, interdependency, trying to toe that line between what other people want and need and what you need, and enriching your relationships by filling your own cup, and just this storyline that Cancers are very much on a long learning curve with boundaries. Those kind of things are going to come up very strongly in October and November because of those placements. Something fantastic that is happening this month has to do with Venus moving through Virgo. Now, this is really great for Cancer placements anyway, because Virgo placements make a nice aspect for you. So the whole month when Venus, that rules love, beauty, and money and self-esteem, already is going to kiss your Cancer placements, but it's going to do more than that. It's going to trine all of those planets in Capricorn that have been dogging you, the ones that have been opposing you, okay? And Uranus and Taurus, Venus is going to come and trine all of those placements. And that can bring, and this happened in September as well, 6 times. We had, not specifically with Venus, but other placements trined in September. So we had that going on, and now we have 4 of these beautiful, most harmonious aspects in all of astrology in the areas of love, beauty, money, self-esteem, also in the areas for Cancer placements of relationships. Those of you July-born Cancer placements, you might also see some of these kisses, not just in relationships, but in your health and your pets, and something having to do with your daily work routine or organization. Meaning like your systems, not like the organizations we talked about, like large organizations. Okay. So Mars is still retrograde, and that's very important to know because there are some no-nos during Mars retrograde. The biggest no-no during Mars retrograde is don't force anything. You've already got Mercury retrograde this month. We also have Mars retrograde still. Mars went retrograde September 9th, will be retrograde to November 14th. Those retrograde energies for Mars were building all throughout August. So we've got this energy very strong for almost the whole rest of the year, but very specially concentrated in September, October, November. Mars rules our oomph, our force, aggression. Any aggressive moves you place towards other people or to things you're trying to do can boomerang at you in a way that's not pleasant. So the way you can master this time is to really be in tune with how things are flowing. If you're pushing in a certain direction in October and it's not working out, let it go. There are things that want to gel for you at this time. Jupiter is direct. We've got these other trines. We've got a lot of nice angles for you. So things want to come in and gel, but they may or may not be the things that you're actually focusing on. Okay, so if you can just observe your behavior and notice when you're starting to get the keynote of Mars retrograde, which is frustration, then you just kind of stop and see what path is revealing itself and go down that path. Now, Cancer placements in general, this is easier for you than for some signs, okay? Following the flow is something that Cancer tends to do, right? So if there's something in your way, you flow around it. There are other signs that like try to push right through it, you know? And that trying to push right through something energy doesn't work very well at this time. So it will be natural for you to take the course that will be the best. But if you know that it's happening, it will especially help you, okay? If you see yourself getting frustrated, just stop. Okay, so the month of October is an encapsulation of the year of 2020. Basically starting from the December of 2019, when Jupiter got into Capricorn, through the end of 2020 in December, when Jupiter gets out of Capricorn and goes into Aquarius, has been a time when Jupiter, Saturn, and Pluto have all been in Capricorn. And Capricorn is the sign of restriction and limitation and discipline and hard lessons and, you know, tradition and systems. And as these outer planets have been colliding, that is a big reason why things have been going on with the coronavirus, and the systems have been tested, and some of them are very much breaking down, or their flaws have been revealed. So this month is like the ending of this restriction, and you'll start to feel things crack more in November and December. But it's like, I'm likening it to the transition in birth. Okay, we know what transition means from the definition of what transition means, but from the technical standpoint, in a birthing situation, transition is when the cervix is fully dilated, the baby's ready to come out. Sometimes that takes longer or shorter depending on what's going on, but it's a time marked by the mother very distinctly saying things like, I can't do this, there's no way, it's impossible, the baby's never coming out, you know, stuff like that. So those types of energies are going to be very strong in October, where you feel like there's no way things are going to work out, you can't take it, the helplessness, the hopelessness. And this is stressful, but this is magical, because once that surrender happens, where we're no longer trying to make anything happen, we sort of just take our hands off the wheel, that's when the baby comes out. And the baby will come out in November and December, and you'll start to see those details about what that's going to look like. We've got two jobs for this year, and that are very much kind of encapsulated in this month of October, okay? One is, and these jobs are for the individual, the community, the countries, the globe, to look at the systems that were the energies of Capricorn that have been tested and put under the microscope here. See which of the ancient traditions, of the old systems, of the ways of doing things, of the anchors, of the structures, are going to serve us in the future and have been serving us. What we can take with us as an anchor into the new, and then letting go of the rest. The Aquarius energies, Saturn teeter-tottering between this tradition and this new energy of Aquarius and the openness, has been keeping us kind of at a standstill in this place, in this moment. But there's a chance for us to look in our own lives, look at your daily schedule, look at your interactions, look at how you use your energy, look at your job, look at how you interact with your kids or with your, you know, whoever. See what's working there and see what's not working there, and take the things that are working and use those as your little solid point as you bring in the new things. Okay, and not all the new things are going to be perfect and for you either, but there will be a slew of new options to at least tiptoe into and try on. But you want to have an anchor with you going into this. And so the second job is I'm calling this the rise of the grounded revolutionary, okay? Because this energy of teeter-tottering between, you know, the stability of Saturn and the complete unpredictability of the planet Uranus, which rules Aquarius, is like, the old energy of the revolutionary is like pure Aquarius. You know, if you think of someone who's a revolutionary who fought for freedom, or, you know, who did something else like that, they have vision, right? Okay, so Aquarian energy is visionary. It's futuristic. It's forward thinking. It's reckless. It can be careless. And as much as it can see the bigger picture, it can be very short-sighted with like how it's going to bring that into being. It's like, okay, we just have to get out of this situation. That's the revolutionary. But now what? Right? Now what is the problem with Aquarius? But now what is what Capricorn is great at? So we've got this beautiful year encapsulated in this month, and then stepping forward into Saturn, which rules Capricorn, is going to be in the sign of Aquarius. So those energies of Capricorn, those energies of Aquarius will have years now to have this grounded revolutionary. Okay, so that means that we can have the vision, and we can have the stability, the hard work, the discipline, the predictability of how we're going to make those things happen. So you can look for that within yourself, find your grounding cords, and find the places where you need to be a little more risk, step into more risk, and the places where you need to step into less risk and more predictability. So those priorities might be shuffling around in your life, where you'll start to take chances in certain areas, but then lay anchors in other areas that will allow you to grow into these different areas. So this is a really magical time, and this energy is really just like balled up in October. Okay, so the last thing that I want to talk about has to do with the energy of how certain signs relate and planets relate to certain parts of the body. Okay, so we talked about how Mars rules anger and resentment, and when Mars retrograde, a lot of these repressed energies of anger and resentment are coming up, and you'll see that as well, very strong this month. Major chances to forgive are going to happen this month, and that can be a very healthy thing, but it can look a little messy in the meantime. So this energy of anger is housed in the liver. The energy of resentment is housed in the gallbladder. A lot of people are going to have liver and gallbladder things this second half of the year, especially where they have an awareness that they have issues with their gallbladder. If you really have a medical situation where you have to get your gallbladder taken out, I'm not a doctor, you have to do what you're going to do. But I will tell you that there are methods in the alternative realm for clearing out your gallbladder when a mainstream doctor might say, just take it out. Okay? So looking for the energies of how you can release resentment, working on the emotional, psychological levels, and then certain herbs can help to break up the sludge in the biliary tree, which is the flow of the gallbladder with the bile. So this is going to be coming up. Libra is also very strong this month, and that's going to bring in this energy of fear. Okay? Fear has a channel that runs through the body. It starts with the adrenals, the fight, flight, or freeze. So the adrenals are here, and then the kidneys are here. And then, so the flow goes from the adrenals to the kidneys. And then it goes down. There's a muscle called the psoas muscle that joins kind of towards the bottom of the kidneys at the vertebrae, flows down through the hips and attaches at the top of your femur bone up here. And then it goes down your legs and down your feet, and knees often come up. So there's a fear channel. So people who are afraid often have fear manifesting with issues with one of those parts, kidney issues, adrenal issues, tight psoas muscle. Also the piriformis is involved in this. So what I've found is that a lot of times this fear gets stuck in the piriformis and the psoas muscles, because those are very chronically tight for a lot of people, especially the psoas muscle, which is a hip flexor. People sit a lot and they don't get a counter stretch for their hip flexors. Then the tension in there stops the fear from just naturally flowing in and flowing out, and it paralyzes you with fear. So unless you have a hip replacement or brittle bones or some other reason why you have to be careful stretching these really tight hip muscles, look into how you release and stretch the psoas, P-S-O-A-S, and the piriformis, P-I-R-I-F-O-R-M-I-S. And if you can keep those limber and loose, you might find that you're less afraid, because the fear can go through and not get stuck there. Okay, so that's a really big opportunity that we have at this time. Of course, I always love EFT, the emotional freedom technique, for releasing fear and anxiety. And those are all within your reach. They're free, they're online, you can do it, it's scientifically proven. and it doesn't have negative consequences. So this is a very full month. You can see all the layers that I brought to you. If you want to know more about this month, because I do have even more resources to tell you more, I do a write-up that shows all the sweet dates, all the salty dates, and we do have twice as many salty dates, again, as sweet dates. So you can see what days those are, because you will be feeling those. You can also get my general write-up for the month for free when you sign up for my free email newsletter. And I do get those out a month early, okay? And that's at anniehelpsyou.com. All of the links I'm going to give you for these free resources are in the notes underneath this video. If you click on the More button with the arrow, it will reveal these links. I do written horoscopes that are super simple, much less technical than my videos at cozybysweetstarlight.com, and those are up a month early as well. And I have really great blogs there to use the energies of the signs, yoga through the signs, herbal tea through the signs, maximizing the sun's movement through the signs. It's a really beautiful site you can explore. Then you can check out my free classes at Luminous Life Multiversity, lumlife.com, L-U-M-E life.com. You can see my course that was a paid course that's now a free course called Unleash Your Money Magnet, plus some other free ones there, and my paid courses including Becoming a Professional Astrologer Mastery Course. If you think I go into details in the layers in these reports, you will be blown away by the comprehensive nature of my course. So you can see that at lumlife.com, whether you want to just study for your own purposes or whether you want to actually be a professional astrologer or use it as part of a professional offering. I can equip you to do that with this course. You can definitely also get my book Planetology, which is a groundbreaking book that talks about things that are not really covered very well thus far in our literature. So you can check that out, How to Align with the Natural Rhythms of the Universe, if you just search for Annie Botticelli Planetology. I hope you have a wonderful month, and I'll see you next month. Bye.